Welcome to the Intercut Podcast, the weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, we are a shoeless house. It's Arturo Zurita.
Zach, I'm excited to talk. Wait, where are you, Zach?
I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm nowhere.
You drop your exact locations.
Yeah, I tried to get as far away as possible. I ended up in upstate New York, so it's not that far. But yeah, I'm enjoying some outdoor weather while we still can, as the seasons start to turn.
All you need is 6 feet, Zach. You don't need to go that far away. You just need 6 feet. That's it.
Either way, this is going to be a nice little shift, hopefully. Hopefully the sounds of nature aren't too overwhelming and you can hear our talk, but maybe it'll be kind of a refreshing afternoon out with Intercut.
Sounds good. I'm excited. What do we got to talk about
You
today?
feeling better? People were concerned you were feeling sick last time we talked.
Yes, I was dead, but I have been resurrected, Zach. And now I am back. I'm ready
Arturo
to go.
2.0. Cool. In a little bit, we'll be talking about shifting release dates, Mulan's PVOD performance, and the Emmys. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the Intercut Podcast, either the video podcast on youtube.com/intercutpod or the audio podcast available on most podcatchers. Also, follow Intercut on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We are at IntercutPod. That's at IntercutPOD. That's short for podcast. And remember to leave us a 5-star review on Apple's iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever you want to call it. It really helps the show and helps us know what you like about the show. Please keep it at 5 stars. That's what really helps us out. Art, let's start the show the way that we start it every week here with what we are watching. Let me know what you've been watching, buddy.
There's a couple of stuff that's been released on Netflix that I was able to catch, like Ratched, which was the prequel to the nurse's prequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Cuckoo's Nest, yeah.
Interesting American Horror Story spinoff, I guess, if anything. There was also Away, which I know a lot of people have been either complaining about or saying it's misunderstood. I saw like an episode or two and then I've been away from it, but it's okay, I guess.
So neither the new Netflix TV shows stood out to you?
Not necessarily, but that's mainly because I started watching season 1 of Succession and it earned
yes!
that damn Emmy. Oh
man,
good.
I've been waiting for this moment.
It's good. Now, I'm not completely done with it fully because I was trying to catch up on a bunch of other stuff, and I was like, you know what? Why am I kidding to myself? I already know Watchmen's going to win. I already know, and I had watched a bunch of Schitt's Creek as well, but I was like, let me just continue watching Succession. I've seen the first episode 3 times already, so one of my favorite lines is like, you'll get your bit. And I was like, let me just continue watching. It is fan-freaking-tastic.
Yes.
Every single aspect of it is like top tier. There's a reason why HBO, even as everything has shifted with, ABC and NBC, they used to own the Emmys. Mm-hmm. Now it's Netflix and it's Hulu, but HBO's still there, Mm-hmm. All these new ones that cropped up and the other ones that fell, but HBO is still there, and it's because of shows like this. It is absolutely fantastic. You and I are going to be doing a Let Us Explain for sure on this at some point, recap for it for the 3rd season or something, but if you have not seen Succession, at the start of the show, I just needed to mention watch Succession.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about the show that I really love. I think the performances are some of the best on TV. They've got these really finely written characters, and they've got the back and forth with these like very cutting lines. Is there an element of the show that really stands out to you so far?
Besides the dialogue, they do these. There's an aspect of it where, and I don't know if it's on purpose or not, where someone will just say a random line, and the camera work is like very intentional. Yeah, like it's very frenetic. It's always
it's got
moving,
a little bit of that like The Office docudrama thing, but they're not looking to camera.
Exactly. In The Office, and the beat is coming, which isn't bad, but that's why people like The Office and the zoom in. Here it's like, oh, you're gonna focus on that for a little bit, or oh, you're gonna keep that one line that a random character said and just not come back to it. It's like the weird moments, the slip ups that we have in real life, caught on a TV show for whatever reason. Like one of the first ones that happens in the first episode that always makes me laugh is when they have the kid come up to play baseball. You hit a home run, I'm gonna get you $1 million. And the guy just comes out of nowhere and he goes, give it to me. I'll do it. No, I'm just kidding. He just leaves, and it's like, why did the camera not cut away from that? It's a bunch of little moments like that they're just hilarious to me. I think it's very funny. Yeah. But yeah, just the back and forth and the dialogue is fantastic. And I know that we're going to mention some of the performances later on when we mention the Emmys, and some of the ones that have been snubbed, but it's funny while at the same time, definitely it's a drama. It's under drama. It's not under comedy.
I think that moment is a great encapsulation of what the show does so well, because like at first it is this kind of moment showing how they're so fast and loose with their wealth, and they'll just throw out $1 million bet for the fun of it because that's who they are. But then, like you said, the camera will linger on the kid whose life they could have changed but then didn't, and is gonna live with that like somewhat traumatic memory of like being mocked by this obscenely rich family, and it's in those little moments where sometimes they focus on somebody who's not at the center of the show, where I feel like you learn a lot about what the show is trying to portray. And it's just really, really immaculately written, immaculately directed. All the sets and locations they go to are perfect. So I'm very excited to see what they do, especially with the third season of that show, and whether or not it's going to be impacted as things go back into production under different circumstances. But I've loved the first 2 seasons. I'm excited for you to catch more of it so we can keep talking about it on Intercut.
And that score. Oh my goodness, that
Nicholas
score.
Britell. He the top guy in the game right now? I mean,
you just need 3 notes of the Succession thing, and you're in on it. Yeah. It's like when the Game of Thrones theme would come on, and you're like, oh, you're in on it. Succession has that. I mean, Pusha T did a remix to it, so like, I've also been watching, sticking to HBO. Have you caught Lovecraft?
I've only seen the first episode so far, but it's really intriguing. What do you think so far?
Well, decisions are made. Decisions are made in the later episodes, and I think episode 5 definitely has gotten a lot of people tangled up without spoiling a lot of it. But knowing that it's based off of a book, and I think a lot of people had criticisms in the book because it's like a white writer who, in the little nuances, decided to go certain ways. But there is a lot of set pieces within the show. I mean, even in the first one, that final car chase sequence, right? But with the idea being the setting and where they are and trying to get away and trying to beat the sun, really. Fantastic moments.
Yeah, that was to me probably the best moment of the first episode.
For sure. I like the performances. I like the mystical aspects of it, but there are certain points. Again, I think episode 5 had a lot of this where I don't think it's bad. I think HBO should make all the creative decisions that they want, but it's definitely out there. And I'm curious to see how they're going to wrap it up. But the effects have been fantastic. That's been like a really big standout, because I know a lot of people were calling this like a black version of Indiana Jones, because he's going in through all these like mystical adventures and stuff. And I was like, sure, but they got a great production budget that they've got going with it, and the performances are fantastic. And they're all superheroes now too. I know Journey's been a superhero, and our boy is also, I think he's gonna be a villain in Ant-Man. So there's that. They've been blowing up.
From the first episode, it definitely seems like they've spared no expense, the same way that Watchmen was a very fully realized world. This one is as well.
There's one where they could save it. I don't need to hear Cardi B and it's not the fact that Cardi B's in there. It's just considering the setting. Y'all going Baz Luhrmann on sequences where someone literally has bloody shoes, so you're playing bloody shoes.
Right.
I don't need that. You guys can keep that one right there. But other than that, there are some good moments within the show. Then I would recommend it.
Cool. I'm curious to catch more of Lovecraft Country as it continues on. As for what I've been watching, I think we both caught something that I've been watching, and maybe unfortunately, Antebellum. We saw the latest Lionsgate horror movie. This one starring Janelle Monáe. It's got a little bit of like a Twilight Zone vibe in that it's kind of mixing some present day stuff with some plantation era stuff. And it's got like a very big mysterious twist to it that it was kind of not that mysterious. And
in the trailer,
yeah, the fact that the first like description of this movie's plot is something that doesn't get revealed until 38 minutes into the movie was, to me, like the first sign that there's some like big mix up in terms of whether it's marketing or the actual production of this movie. But that they layer in so few details or like mystery throughout. It's kind of played so straightly as like a slave drama in the first 35 to 40 minutes, and then played pretty straight as this mystery about a successful woman who's being maybe slightly stalked. Like, there's not a whole lot of things that make you question what's happening. The fact that they barely go back and forth between what's happening at all, doesn't let you like it doesn't give you the disorienting feeling that I think they want you to. It's so like flawed in its execution, and also just like kind of gross in how slick and, you know, beautiful that some of the plantation imagery is. I feel like to try and combine a real life horror with horror movie aesthetics loses some of the real danger of those moments. I was not so thrilled on the movie, just like thematically, but even in just its execution, it feels so poor, and the final twist is laughable. No?
You mentioned the plantation scenes. Zach, what if I told you that if I read an explanation on the directors explaining their movie, you know it's bad when even the explanation makes you go, nah, this should not make me like it less.
Yeah.
Zach, they went above and beyond to secure the lenses from Gone with the Wind.
Yeah,
to be able to shoot the plantation scenes, because they said, and it sounds very familiar, I believe another Sundance filmmaker wanted to flip a title of a classic KKK movie and make it his own, and that did not turn out well for him.
That turned out for Nate.
Yeah, so here, like, they wanted to take it and be like the beautiful imagery from Gone with the Wind, and we want to encapsulate it in ours by doing what? I'm not exactly sure. There's something in the movie, it feels very misguided, it feels very, like you said, everything's in the trailer. Mm-hmm. The directors play on a twist that you'd be surprised why that would be a twist. They are activists who have done a bunch of short features with like bigger actors as well.
Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz are the co-directors here. Co-writers and directors.
They've done stuff, you know, a lot of activism stuff. They themselves say, and I think that's been the biggest criticism of it, that they are activists who are filmmakers, and people are like, no, stop getting a message and making a movie. Make a movie and find the message.
Right.
Someone gets delivered a bouquet of cotton, and they don't question it.
There's a lot of like, why aren't you talking more? Why aren't you like saying, isn't this weird that we're both experiencing this thing in the year 2020 happening in this movie?
That they just ignore. Yeah.
I'm just baffled by a lot of the decisions made in this, and you know, we talked about this with the New Mutants controversy too, but like something that it's bad enough when it's racist, but it's worse when it's racist and dumb, because like it's insulting your intelligence. There's some weird decisions with this movie that I did not like.
Racism is bad.
Yes.
But you could also make a good movie while doing that doesn't make your characters seem a little dumb or redundant, especially when you have to push it. I loved so many people. One of my favorite reviews that I kept seeing over and over again was, warning, the trailer said producers of Get Out and Us, not Jordan.
Right.
That's when you know it's bad. Is people like, oh, I thought it was Jordan. Never mind.
Nah.
Yeah, they definitely tried playing off that. Nah. Yeah,
and
I don't know.
I would definitely recommend the writings of Angelica Jade, who wrote about the movie for Vulture, I believe, and Robert Daniels, a couple of black critics who I think have more to say on this movie than I could. But yeah, it's bad. It's not worth going out of your way for, especially as a high price home rental. I'd take I just wouldn't watch it. I'd avoid it. Aside from Antebellum, I've had a chance to watch a bunch of movies from the New York Film Festival, which started up recently.
What you got?
You know, annual celebration of movies, one of the exciting events of the year. A little bit different this year in that a lot of the screenings are virtual. They're doing a lot of drive-in screenings in Queens and the Bronx and Brooklyn as well. Not that I've been to any of those yet. I'm still hoping to get to some, but luckily they've presented a lot of the movies in a virtual format. The opening of the film festival was one of 3 movies that are from Steve McQueen's upcoming film series for Amazon. So the first one that was aired is called Lovers Rock. This is a really interesting one, especially coming from Steve McQueen, because I don't know about you, but when I hear his name, I think about films that are about suffering, right? You have a movie like Widows, a movie like 12 Years a Slave, a movie like Hunger, Shame. It's in the title. About just the human condition and how life can be torture, and then to go straight from those into Lovers Rock, which is a 70-minute movie that's all about this day around a house party. It's these people getting together, cooking dishes for the house party, setting up the sound system, the intimacy of dancing close to someone that you don't know, sneaking off into the back with them. Like, it's all the like fun little details that personally I haven't been able to experience for many months now, which maybe increases my like nostalgia watching a movie like this. I'm sure a lot of people were watching this movie thinking about the house parties they're not allowed to go to right now, even though I'm not going to a lot of them recently anyways. But there's just so much joy in it, even though there's not like a lot of plot there. It feels almost like definitely more dramatic, but almost more like a Dazed and Confused in the way that it just kind of sprawls and shows you these different characters and bits of life. And I kind of loved that about it. I loved the details that McQueen adds here, from like the goat curry to some of the song selection and the early dubstep sounds and stuff that are in here. There's a sequence to the song Silly Games that's just one of the most joyful movie moments I've had all year. So yeah, I mean, it's not exactly something whose story is going to be super engaging, but it's so pleasant. It's such a vibe that I would highly recommend that one.
Well, like the musical style, because I know that's what Lovers Rock is. It's like reggae. I don't know how much that plays into it, but
yeah.
70 minutes,
those are the sounds you hear
that's
throughout
nice.
are different reggae and more like island sounds. But it's a great movie. I know there's still virtual screenings of it available on October 3rd and October 5th for about $15. So
also he's doing all 5 with a production with I think the BBC and Amazon Prime. So if you do have Amazon Prime, you will be able to get all 5.
Those will all be on Amazon by the end of this year. I think Lovers Rock just was announced that it'll be on Amazon Prime November 17th. So it's not that far away. But beginning of October, if you want to stream it sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what about the other ones? Did you get to catch all 3 so far?
No, they've only screened the Lovers Rock so far. They're screening, I think, Mangrove next. I'm probably going to catch that tonight or tomorrow. And then the festival closes with Red, White, and Blue. So Mangrove is the one that stars Letitia Wright, and Red, White, and Blue is the one that stars John Boyega. So those are 2 I'm really excited for, based on those casts, as well as Steve McQueen. Lovers Rock was pretty much like nobody I'd heard of before too, which is another cool thing. But
that's cool.
So I'm very excited to catch some more Steve McQueen movies while at this fest. A couple of the others that I caught were a French documentary called The Monopoly of Violence. It's this really interesting look at the state of protests and police in France. Very interesting because there's so many ways in which it parallels what's happening here in America. There's some eerie similarities from the way that it's discussed in the media, and sides are pitted against each other, and even just down to if you've been paying attention to the police protests against police that have been happening in America throughout the summer, and how many reporters have lost eyes from rubber bullets and stuff. That's something that is shown throughout this documentary, is the amount of people who've lost eyes at the hands of police violence in these French protests. So just being able to see so many of the issues that we're confronting in America, but given this kind of different perspective because it's happening in France, is really interesting. And I think this documentary has some of the best, most engaging talking head segments that I've ever seen in a documentary. If you've seen documentaries, I'm sure you're familiar with the idea of the talking head being when they go away from the action and they cut to an interview with somebody who's usually like in a room by themselves. And what they do instead of that is they have 2 people opposite each other. So they shoot it like it's still a single talking head, but it's an interview between these 2 people, oftentimes who have opposing viewpoints. So now they're engaged in like a dialogue, or they're arguing with each other. And rather than being these information dumps where it's just, I'm an expert and I'm going to tell you what I think, you're hearing people who are engaging with the images that were being shown, because they're also showing them these images. And then you're seeing them like in conversation, in a way that's less formalized than I think we are used to in a documentary talking head, and it just makes the movie feel so much more urgent, right? Like they're so when they become impassioned about the things they're talking about because they're in these debates, it wakes you up a little bit more and shows you just how important some of these things that they're trying to get across are. I was riveted by how this documentary was put together. It involves a lot of found footage of people, of protesters taking cell phone videos and stuff like that. I'd love for an American filmmaker to basically adapt this format to what we've got going on here. But if it's a subject that interests you, I'd highly recommend. I believe David Dufresne's is the name of the director of The Monopoly of Violence. It's one of my standouts so far from New York Film Festival.
Nice.
Definitely. As well as MLK FBI.
I was about to mention that one in terms of documentaries.
Yeah, because they've got 2 documentaries that so far have maybe been the best things I've seen here. MLK FBI is directed by Sam Pollard, who's a veteran documentarian. He's got a really great documentary on Sammy Davis Jr. that I saw a couple years ago. With this one, it's very comprehensively done. You know, he again uses talking heads, but he never shows the video of them. He just takes their audio and lays it on top of all of this archival footage, just mounds and mounds of, I'm sure, hours of research and digging through all this footage of the era to show you the rise of the FBI, the rise of Martin Luther King Jr., and the ways in which the organization butt heads with the civil rights leader because of their suspicions of him. And I think most people have some cursory knowledge of the idea that the FBI wiretapped and spied on Martin Luther King Jr., but the way that this is so comprehensive in showing you how it started, why it started, the beat-by-beat progression of it, why it was either good or bad, I think is really well done and gives you a lot of really interesting perspectives on it. They also talked to some people who were involved in the FBI at that time too, so it's not all you're not getting all of the information from the perspective, from the non-FBI, non-law enforcement perspective.
That's good.
But like it's just a very interesting documentary about just some of the most important people in our somewhat recent history. And it's the kind of thing where if you feel like you know the subject, but you don't really know the subject, it's worth catching up with, because it will fill in so many of your knowledge gaps. And I think it helps inform a lot of the dialogues that we're still having today. Yeah.
I think this one's also playing in Chicago, and I want to catch it because I think it's slated for 2021. So it's like I definitely want to catch it before the year ends.
I think IFC is planning to release it early in January 2021, which, because of this weird Oscars calendar, mean it will still qualify for the upcoming Oscars. But that's another weird consequence of the Academy shifting its release calendar. Some of those late December releases that we are used to might happen in January or even February.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I've been hearing there's a lot of great things about docs. There's another one, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a Mexican documentary, I want to say, and I think it like breaks down like what the government is doing over there, and people were like, yo, this is happening in Mexico. But that sounds too familiar. So I've just been hearing a lot of the greatest reviews come from the documentaries that I know they're not stopping their releases. You know, a lot of big budget films, or, you know, the big ones that would have played at these festivals are like, we're going to wait till next year. The docs are like, we'll play. We're going to play. So it's like a lot of quality coming out of that category.
Yeah. I caught a couple other movies, too, that I'll just mention in brief. You can follow my Letterboxd for some more of these updates as I see them. I saw Malmkrog, which is this 3+ hour Romanian film where aristocrats debate different philosophical beliefs, and that one was a bit of a slog. I had trouble getting through it.
Not worth it being sold out?
I don't think it's worth being sold out, no. Not a huge loss if you didn't get your tickets to that, in my opinion. For me, the better movie that was basically like long, drawn-out philosophical discussions was The Inheritance. It's a movie about these black radicals who get a house together in Philadelphia, and they're trying to balance their burgeoning ideas of community and living free of capitalist influences with the ideas of sharing a bathroom and whether or not people should be allowed to wear shoes in the house. And I like that there's sort of like a high-low aspect to it, where they'll have like a 5-minute section that's all about the Philly movement that became the subject of a lot of law enforcement scrutiny and bombings and stuff like that. But they'll do these sections on Philly Move and these sections on Marxism, and then these sections about just debating what's being a good roommate in a commune-based environment. So I liked that there's sort of like a high-low nature to that movie. It's a little bit like, it looks a little bit low budget, but it's shot on 16 millimeter against these very vibrant colors, these red and green and blue walls that are very pretty in the movie. It's very interesting from Ephraim Asseli, a filmmaker definitely to watch out for. This is his feature debut. Not going to be for everybody, but if those subjects sound interesting to you, I've heard people compare it to La Chinoise, I think it's called.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely an interesting film out there. And then my favorite narrative film so far has been The Night of the Kings. This is a film.
I want to watch that one.
It's
Tell me.
really, really good.
Okay.
So this is a movie written and directed by Philippe Lecourt. It's out of Ivory Coast. It's actually somehow Senegal's official submission to the Oscars this year. I don't know how that kind of works, but it's about this young man who comes to this prison that is run basically by the inmates, different gangs that operate throughout the prison. And they've got this whole kind of worldview that has shaped in the prison in almost like a Mad Maxian way, where like some people are named after like adjectives. There'll be people who are called like half mad or silence, or there's a trans woman and they call her sexy. It's got that kind of almost dystopian aspect to it. But there's also this thing throughout where this young man who is thrown into the prison is quickly elected as the new storyteller, and he has to tell a story that spans the entire night, or they will kill him, essentially. It's this really, really cool, just like mashing of genres. It talks about like the myth making of storytelling, but a little bit about these like prison cultures. And I don't know, man, it was very tense throughout and just very exciting, really well acted, really well paced. It's a very good movie.
That one stood out to me when I was like looking at a bunch of the stuff. If it's still playing, I don't know if it's playing in Chicago, but I do want to catch. That was one of the ones that I wanted to catch. Time, I know, was also playing there, and I know you got to see that one. That'll be coming out in a little bit. Yeah,
speaking of documentaries at New York Film Festival, that one was one of my favorites back from Sundance, so I would definitely highly recommend that one too.
Looking at the schedule, I also see All In, The Fight for Democracy, which I actually got a screener sent to, so I know that's part of the lineup, but that's the one on Stacey Abrams and voting.
And that might be on Amazon right now.
It is. So. It's on Amazon right now. Yeah, I got it like a week later. It was up, but that one's a good one. Just talking about voting and the suppression that happens. Just like showing you, it's like, hey, this is what's going on. It's not even. It should be illegal, but it's not illegal to do, and they're doing it. And I mean, you go on Twitter and you see it right now. But I think one of the like a super dope quote that she had was, being raised by her parents. She would always be like, "Oh, we were so poor, but we were always giving other people stuff." And it's like, why are we giving other people stuff? We're poor. We should be getting stuff. And her mother or her father told her, just because you don't have anything doesn't mean you give nothing. And I was like, that's dope. So it's a nice little story from her perspective that comes from Liz Garbus, who's been on a roll. I think she also did Lost Girls earlier this year that we saw at Sundance. She also did another documentary that I think got nominated for an Oscar as well. So it's like...
Yeah, well, I know she did... Didn't she do Mommy, Dead, and Dearest also?
Might have. Let me search this up here. She did What Happened to Miss Simone.
Right. That was her.
Bobby Fischer against... She did Who Killed Garrett Phillips, which is also on HBO. And I haven't been able to finish that one. I know that's a mini doc series that's also in there. Yeah. But, no, this one was pretty good. And vote. It's going to get wild. Like, I might have to join you over there.
Yeah.
I want to be away from downtown as well.
It's going to be a tumultuous couple months at least. I think that's fair to say for us here in America. But yeah, let us know what you've been watching in the comments on YouTube or by shooting us an email. Let us know if you can catch any of those New York Film Festival screenings. The address for emailing us is intercutpod@gmail.com. Shout out to Steven, who always is commenting with what he's been watching. We really appreciate that. We are going to move on to our yay or nays, where we break down the latest happenings in entertainment, starting with the success of Mulan's Disney Plus $30 release has debated amongst film industry analysts. The analytics firm 7Park Data claimed that Disney had a nice $269 million opening from its opening weekend, but later Brian Lichtenberg of Seven Park clarified that when adjusted to Disney Plus's subscriber numbers, the revenue is far more likely closer to $93 million, which it should be noted is around how much Trolls World Tour reportedly made earlier this year, only being released for $20 rather than $30 to everyone, not just Disney Plus subscribers, and on a budget about half as large as Mulan's budget. So, Art, yay or nay, Disney will look at the release of Mulan as a success?
No, because Black Widow and everything else got pushed for next year.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit more about release date shifting in a bit, but the fact that some of their films, like Black Widow, are being saved for 2021 definitely shows that it at least wasn't enough of a success that they want to do it again.
Mm-hmm. And if they do, they're probably just going to do it on smaller ones. But I just continue laughing that, like, Mulan, $30 plus the subscription. You don't have the subscription, you're going to lose it. Artemis Fowl, $100 million. Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
that one's for free. Y'all can have that one. But I think there will be a lot of other projects. That is where we will be seeing the McFarlane USAs. That's where we will be seeing all those Disney movies that don't have superheroes in them, that aren't a part of a franchise. But they'll probably be going straight to Disney Plus. We've known this, but I hope they don't try to capitalize on thinking they could do like $30 premiere access, and then you can get it in. Because that's the other thing. They said Mulan's available in November.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that hurt this release. There was all the controversies around the film, whether that was the lead actress's support of Hong Kong police, or that was the revelation that some of the filming took place in areas where there are apparently concentration camps for Muslims in China. Like, you know, all these bad word of mouth. Plus, on top of that, to casual fans, it was revealed that it's going to be available for free without the rental fee on Disney Plus in December, I think it is. So, like, unless you're dying to see Mulan, you can just wait until later this year and not have to pay $30. So I don't know. Even the Chinese box office was apparently very low for Mulan. It made something like $23 million, which is less than what Tenet opened to there. Yeah. So, like, they were counting on a good amount of money from Disney, from China, and it just seems like interest in this movie isn't that high to justify all the money that was put into it, I guess.
And it'll be interesting because, you know, even they were banking so much on the China box office, and besides, obviously, all the restrictions and everything that's happened, there was also, when all that attention happened, they barred any journalists from speaking about the movie in any way, shape, or form to a degree. So it's like that also limited a lot of it. But, yeah, so maybe they'll have another project that isn't as political. One of my favorite comments for when we made the video was like, why has it got to be political? I was like, you're right. We're saying it shouldn't. What we're saying is the behind the scenes is overly political. But, yeah, I don't know. We shall see. I think that they'll bring it back for other things, and it's going to be very interesting to see the other studios do it. I still believe Peacock will be doing something of the sort. I still believe, did we just see what happened to CBS All Access, which I always thought was a dumb service?
Yep. Paramount Plus.
And they weren't paying attention until recently. Now they're Paramount Plus. It's like, what took y'all so long?
Right.
So we'll see. I'm sure we'll be seeing that from a lot of other people who want to give early access, especially now that we are ending the year. Like, it took this long for Black Widow to be postponed until next year.
Yeah.
DC still thinks they're going to do Wonder Woman. So, I mean, they're going to find a way to try to make other money besides subscription services.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because several big blockbusters that were still slated to come out at the end of 2020 have pushed back their release dates. Black Widow, which was on the calendar for November 6th, is being held for May 7th, 2021. Interestingly, that's about a full year after its initial planned release date, May of this year. Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, that remake co-starring Ansel Elgort, who has been accused of sexual assault, will launch on December 10th, 2021 instead of December 18th, 2020. Art, we're coming off of Mulan's premium video release, and we've had Tenet's You Must See It on the Big Screen release, and both films failing to live up to their financial promise. So, yay or nay, studios won't risk releasing big blockbuster movies until theaters are back to normal.
Yeah.
Seems true. Like it. I mean, Trolls, we talked a lot about how that was a surprising success, but even Trolls was made on a budget of about $100 million, and I think just that difference of $100 to $200 million
and the type of movie it is
right,
who it's
is
geared
so
for,
significant.
And all the 48-hour rentals that were renewed because of the kids, they knew what they were doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there is a market when you only have to make a certain amount. Maybe you can find a way to achieve that market. It doesn't seem like the premium video on demand market can sustain movies that cost $200 million. It just doesn't seem like it adds up
doesn't.
the same
Yeah.
way. Which,
if they, like you said, if they weren't as expensive, you maybe have a chance to play it over here. But because you want to make these super expensive movies, that the only way to do it is if theaters are jam packed. It's not going to work that way. What's the new thing that they're doing? Their whole release strategy for Tenet is that it won't be there for 3 months. It'll be there for a very long time. It's okay for it to not have 200 mil the first weekend. We want 20 mil. We want 17 mil because we're going to keep beep, 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 adding it up. And I was like, I don't know, because you're also forgetting the word of mouth. The people who complain about putting something available for everyone to binge and the accessibility complain, no, that's not how you make money. But now you're trying it in theaters?
Yeah.
Of course it's not going to work, but I don't know. There's, when we talked about this way back in March, we talked about the ability to be able to do things like virtual screenings where you don't necessarily have to have it on demand, but it does work. Like TIFF, I believe, was able to have some screenings for big movies that they're now limiting to only drive-in. I know in Chicago there's certain movies that are not available to stream virtually. They're not doing theaters. You can only go see it in the drive-in for $100.
Right.
So, I mean, you had you have a bunch of Walmarts throughout all of America. You had the opportunity to be able to create something where people can still come and congregate. But you also had the ability with all these virtual festivals with specific, not VOD purchases, but actual
time limits and...
Yeah, time limits and the actual website that it's on, whoever's hosting it, they would have blocked all that, at least to a certain degree. But no, they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen there. And like we've been mentioning throughout all these months, how are they going to get back to filming? Because what you're doing is you're leaving a lot of product there. And one of the most interesting things I've seen with cable television, which I'm never on other than when the Emmys was playing, was, oh my goodness, look at these shows that had pilots that included people as game shows that were probably rejected. And now they're going, we haven't shot one in a... Where are those... Someone give me that pile of rejected ones, So we're seeing a lot of things that were just cut off, probably coming back to fruition, just as placeholders, though. So that's probably going to be the ugliest type of content that we're going to get. Stuff that was never finished, but it'll fill the hole in between.
Right.
So, we'll see.
And it's really interesting to see, like, also the movies that get made in the immediate aftermath of this whole scenario, if they're going to be a little bit more conservative in their budgets, just because we don't know if they can make back $200 million anymore. Like, when is a studio, or maybe it even is worth saying, when is a studio other than Marvel, Disney, going to bankroll another like $200 million movie? And I don't know. I think there's a good chance that might not happen for another year or so, at least. I guess we still have, like you said, Wonder Woman 1984 on the calendar, Dune, Pixar's Soul is still on the calendar, but I don't know. They're going to have to refigure out the financials of this all if they want to sustain the market for these types of blockbusters.
I mean, Antoine Fuqua, his new movie with Jake Gyllenhaal just sold to Netflix for $30 million.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about the bigger ones that were supposed to have releases, like the Tom Hanks one that went to Apple, and it's like, at what point will those deals not be profitable? And then there goes even less money. So, I don't know, man.
We previously discussed HBO Max's Gotham City Police Department spin-off show from the world of the Batman. HBO Max is doubling down on that bit of business by greenlighting a Peacemaker series set to star John Cena as a character from James Gunn's upcoming Suicide Squad movie. James Gunn will write all 8 episodes of the series and direct multiple episodes. But Art, yay or nay, that this Peacemaker show is tied to an upcoming movie makes you more excited for the show?
No. You did a great job doing the yay or nays in this order. It answers the question of the last yay or nays. That is how you will be making money. We've said it's even from small things like Skate Kitchen. Everything now needs a series. Everything needs to be long form. We have said it, but of course we may be nobodies. Go listen to the people from Universal who have legit told their creators, we need you to spread it out. Hell, even Quibi, that's 10 minutes, said it's really just a 90-minute feature cut up so we can milk it. They want you to milk it. Every creator has said this. They know that the new way to do it is to create longer form content. For some people, they're excited for that. They want the Snyder Cut. They want, the Hateful Eight series, the Once Upon a Time series. And, it doesn't need to be a bad thing. We may be able to have actual director's cuts. We may be able to actually have a more fleshed out artistic vision. But at the same time, yeah, it seems like everything's going to get attached with the show. I can't say that's good or bad, because it can go either way. This one's on HBO?
Yes, Max. Yeah, doesn't
you think
quite
that's saying
have the
something?
same ring.
Now it's not starting to have the same ring, yeah. Interesting. That's why they created a Max, huh? So they can't get blamed if it's not up to the par of the other shows? Okay.
It's exciting to me that James Gunn is so directly involved with this. He seems like he's even more involved with this show than Matt Reeves will be with that Gotham City PD show.
Okay.
And that, to me, makes it feel like it's going to be more of one vision. I know a lot of people had a critique of the Suicide Squad character reveal trailer that came out not so long ago, that there's just too many people in this thing. Like, how is this movie going to find space for all these people, all these characters, all these superheroes that people love and care about? And it seems like this is kind of their answer, right? Like, they left the door open to do, like, oh, maybe there's not going to be a lot of Peacemaker in the movie, but go check out his HBO Max show. Like, I don't know.
Then that's not a movie. Then that's what people complain about when it's like, oh, look at
universe.
This. Yeah, you're just doing the other thing. It's don't forget to check out this video over here while I talk about it. I don't know. I am a fan of what they. Now? Yeah, right. And y'all made fun of us. I think that as long as it's on HBO, they've done a good job with Skate Kitchen and with a couple of the other stuff that they've been extending. And I think it's a cool little playground to be able to extend these universes. On top of that, they have really opened up on HBO Max, because I don't know if you heard the news about the DC Unlimited, I think is what it was called, DC Infinite, which used to be like the DC app. It was their own streaming service that had Doom Patrol, and I think it had Titans and all that stuff. That is officially moving over to HBO Max.
Yep,
and they're turning
with
that...
the Harley Quinn cartoon that a lot of people love.
Yo, they've been knocking it out of the park with that Harley Quinn. I was watching some of that in the background. That is funny. And also, they are dope because they said, spoil the show, explain it. We don't care. We know how marketing works. Oh, my goodness. Finally, somebody. But really quick, what they're doing with the DC thing, I think also adds kind of to what we're talking about with movies and streaming. The DC app that was hosting all those shows will no longer be streaming shows. They will be streaming comics. And I think it's interesting, even though it's a different medium, how that works. Because we have theaters that are brick and mortar places to see movies. We have comic shops. And as we know, like, do you read a comic? I love reading comics. Do you hold it? Or do you like reading it digitally? I love holding my comics. But, they're very expensive. And now this new DC platform is going to be doing what Marvel has been doing with their Marvel Unlimited, and where you are able to read all of the storylines from all of DC, just like Disney Plus. But... after 6 months of the issue premiering, you will be able to read it right there for free with your subscription. Mm-hmm. So they're able to have that subscription survive. But at what point is it just shifting more to the digital age, they're more reliant on making sure that they have you on a subscription service, as opposed to trying to sell a product for you to buy, like an actual sale.
Yeah.
I think that will affect the way we make things. It will definitely affect the way we make things.
Yeah. I mean, more and more of our economy is moving to subscriber models, and it only seems fair, or whatever you want to call it, that our entertainment is going to do that too. So,
we said this would happen 2 years ago.
Yeah,
it's just happening.
Yeah, whether it's the DC thing or it's Paramount Plus, every company's trying to get in on it before it's too late.
Yeah.
We'll see what it ultimately means for our entertainment as we move forward.
And your 45 monthly streaming subscriptions that everyone will have. Yeah.
Netflix confirmed that it will run Da 5 Blood standout Delroy Lindo in the leading actor category for awards consideration, putting to rest a debate that lingered on Film Twitter and the Intercut podcast. Art, yay or nay, you still believe Delroy Lindo is the runaway favorite for the leading actor Oscar?
Do you have someone?
So a lot of people are saying Anthony Hopkins in The Father. A lot of people are saying that performance is good. We talked about that back in Sundance, although we hadn't seen it.
But that's great.
But
That's fantastic. You know, I don't just want one good performance out of 5. I want the whole thing to be stacked. I'm still rooting for Lindo until I see the father. But yeah, I would definitely. Again, I'm one who believes that it's an honor to just be nominated, as they say. But I definitely I hope they have a good run with it. More people catch the movie. More people catch a lot of his other performances as well, because that's the big thing. You know, it's like you win the Academy Award, more people pay attention to it. You know, that's the whole point of it.
And a lot of times I feel like people don't win the Oscar for their best performance, right? Like, this might be the performance that makes people say, oh, shoot, Delroy Lindo should have an Oscar, and he doesn't win it this year, but 3 years from now he's going to be pretty good in a movie, and we give it to him or something, you know?
You know, he's been great in movies, but now you can go back and talk about those movies as an Academy Award winner.
Right.
Academy Award nominee. It just changes the game of it. We know the politicizing of award shows, which we'll get to.
I'm on Awards Radar's predictions for potential Best Actor nominees. Let me
let's
throw
go.
a couple at you, see if you're excited about them. Gary Oldman in Mank.
Yes. Fincher? Fincher?
Yeah. Tom Hanks in News of the World.
No.
Daniel Kaluuya in Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah.
What about Steve Yeun in Minari? You think he's still got a shot?
Ooh, I hope
so.
I would love to see him there, because I think he did an incredible performance. It is a bilingual performance. It is a faith-driven, it is a family-driven performance. I think he gave a lot there. I would love to see him. Wow. That would be a great one. That would be a great one to see.
All right, well, we're looking forward to seeing some more of these movies as the year plugs along. That's about it for Yay or Nay, although before we're done, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about, we found out recently that I think it was The Hollywood Reporter was acquired and brought into the same media umbrella with Variety and Deadline, meaning the 3, I guess, leading sources of entertainment news are all under the same corporate structure, which, you know, if you're following the evolution of news media and how the different branches are being sold off to different big corporations, it's just interesting how this is potentially creating a lot of I guess trust issues, because they're all under one company, and I don't know. What were your thoughts on it?
I have 3, I think. 1, yes, this is us announcing that Intercut will be selling to
PRC Media.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I've said it time and time again. I think this further proves, I believe that there are streaming networks that are hiring people who have authentic opinions and being able to hire them for their what is a promotion. That is not a bad thing. Get your money, get your coin. I don't want that to limit people from saying things about certain products, about certain things, in worry that they will not be able to be hired for another video essay. As you work for a company, and those companies also have things with other studios that you may, not be granted access, so you have to play the game. There's always the playing of the game thing. It is always interesting to read articles from the aforementioned websites and others, which I highly recommend searching up, what's been bought. And I'm talking about fighting the man and the machine and everything, and you are the machine. You are the system. Right. You're doing the exact same thing. You pay your employees in 3 months' time, but we're living in 2020. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And entertainment media is a very interesting beast in the entertainment in the media world in general, because so much of what we do is reliant on being given access and being let into the door by these major movie studios. And
as they talk about accessibility and being pro helping people.
And as media companies, what allows us to put the pressure on studios to give us access is that there's such a range of opinions out there that they can't help but let them all have them, or otherwise, you can't just limit some of them, right? Mm-hmm. But when they're all under one umbrella, you can kind of push one message, and this corporate structure is friendly to our to what we're trying to get out there, and it closes the door to some dissenting opinions, potentially, or contrarian opinions, and I don't know. It's more theoretical than practically happening, although we see it happening with how Disney treated the LA Times, and I don't know, stuff like that's scary from a media perspective.
Bro, there are so many websites out there that are owned by bigger websites.
Yeah.
And these two websites will yell at each other, and then you don't even realize that they're part of the same parent company.
Yeah. So
Yeah?
PMC Media was the company actually in question. So we'll be keeping an eye
Cool.
on them and Hollywood Reporter and Variety and Deadline, and hoping that their coverage is not affected too much.
Was IndieWire part of those?
I don't know, actually.
I really hope not. Actually, may I bridge this to something else, Zach? Because I'm very curious to know your opinion.
Please.
Yay or nay? Is the new Letterboxd HQ thing a good thing?
So Letterboxd introduced this new feature that allows companies like IndieWire, I think IndieWire was the first, to have an account on there as well. And they're given the way that some people are designated pro accounts, they're designated a news account or organization account. I forget what it is.
Headquarter account.
Headquarter, okay. I think it's an interesting choice by Letterboxd. I think it's a move. People often forget that Letterboxd is also a social media platform.
Yes.
And all these social media platforms, from Facebook to Twitter to Tumblr and wherever, as they grow, have to find space for corporations because these corporations want to reach out to those user bases. And there's an interesting article by Scott Tobias like a week ago, I believe, that talked about how Letterboxd is growing. It's got a couple million users, I believe, now. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of the most fervent discussions of films are happening on Letterboxd. So if you're not reaching out to a Letterboxd audience, you're missing a lot of the people who care about movies. So in that sense, I think it makes sense that an organization like IndieWire would get on there. I saw that Film at Lincoln Center, which hosts the New York Film Festival, is also on there. It's complicated and it's weird seeing their username pop up, but I feel like it's an inevitability based on what we know social media to be.
True.
I do think Letterboxd has done a pretty good job of not making new features that disrupt the feel of the platform, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it's not too intrusive yet, but you know, if it changes in 2 years, I feel like might be a moment we could look back to and potentially blame it on, you know?
They had profiles. They worked fine. The HQ, which you have to apply for, so that's a nice thing to have open. Who they decide to apply or not, we can talk more about Rotten Tomatoes on another day. That does that as well. But if you decide who gets that access to have the headquarter page, because what does the headquarter page allow you to have? Stories. Mm-hmm. Those stories do not open up on Letterboxd. It gets hyperlinked, and in many cases opens it up again over there. Do you remember? Twitter. Twitter gives you like a page of moments.
Yeah. And
those are decided by whoever decides should get that attention. The same thing's going to happen here. You are right. There is so much. There's an audience here. When there's an audience here, I don't want to say the word exploit, but you capitalize. It's capitalism 101. So now there's going to be, it's only a matter of time before we have ads. Do you ever see a viral tweet? Yeah. And then you go and you see, wash your dishes with this. You look at this goose slime, because there are people who are looking at that. I feel it is only a matter of time before sponsors come in and see that, that person's got 50,000 followers on a movie. Mm-hmm. Your 10 words on Mulan, add this bit. The story feature is a way for, if you get accepted, to be able to have your story mode, your articles. Mm-hmm. That's how you make money. It's a very fine line between we're pushing film and movie love, but also there are advertisements on your thing, Yeah,
and then again, I think that goes back to my point of, like, hopefully Letterboxd continues its tradition of not including obtrusive changes that fundamentally change how we interact with the app, that inject unwanted voices into places where we don't want them. Like, I like being able to scroll to the point where you see these are all the latest ratings from my friends. I don't want to have to scroll past, here's what IndieWire thought of the movie first, right? Mm-hmm. And I think in some ways it might be helpful. Like, if there's an upcoming movie, like, I don't know if you ever do this where you add something to your watch list because it's coming out in 2021. Like, if it shows posts like, these are the last 3 articles IndieWire posted that mentioned that movie, that could be kind of helpful and interesting. But again, the reason that I like Letterboxd is the user base. And I think I hope Letterboxd knows that too. That's the reason why people want to be on there, because that's what ultimately ruined a place like Facebook. Is that like make fun of it if you want, but I wish it was just like things that my friends said and like pictures of family photos. It's
not because they needed to make money. And like you said, when there's a spot there, you're used to seeing your friends, but once there's a spot there, you fight. It's capitalism 101. You fight for that spot, for the attention. And look what happened to IMDb. I really hope they don't turn into IMDb.
Yeah. Definitely check out that Scott Tobias article for The Ringer, though. They mentioned how IMDb kind of got ruined in there, and it was some interesting insight into how Letterboxd operates and how they think. So I'll link to that in our description down below. But
it'll be interesting to see them grow.
Yeah. Finally, that is it to the yay or nays. And if you want to hear a certain subject covered here on Intercut, just a reminder, be an Intercutie and send us your question by leaving it in the comments on YouTube, hitting us up on social media at IntercutPod, or again, emailing intercutpod@gmail.com. Let's move on to topic of the week. And this week's topic is the Emmys. A bizarre year of TV made way for some unexpected winners at the yearly Academy of Television Arts and Sciences celebration. Watchmen, which had the most nominations of the night with 11, won 4 awards, tying HBO's other major contender, Succession, also 4 awards, as the night's second most awarded shows. However, the big winner of the night was the Canadian sitcom Schitt's Creek, which picked up 7 awards, the first comedy or drama series ever to win all 7 major awards in a single year. That being Outstanding Comedy, Lead Actor, Lead Actress, Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress, Directing, and Writing. Art, what did you think of Schitt's Creek's domination after not winning a single Emmy any prior year to pulling off this sweep?
It's crazy, Zach. It's almost like last fall Fox bought the show and syndicated it, even though it wasn't 100 episodes. Like, is the syndication? I'm just thinking off the top of my head, Zach. And Fox bought it, and now with 80 episodes, I like the show. I like the show. I really do like the show. I've mentioned in the past. At 80 episodes, they're able to syndicate it. Congratulations to them. Fox has it. Fox is owned by Disney. Disney owns ABC. ABC ran the Emmys. It's great for them. I think they have a movie that they want to come out with. The show is fully syndicated.
Yeah. Not to mention, it's also being syndicated on Netflix, where it's been the last couple of years.
The shout out to Pop for doing that and putting the work in. I hope they don't get screwed over, because that was the service that was pushing them, and that's why you heard so much of them shouting it out. I do like the story. I think it gets better throughout. I am surprised how Modern Family got all this attention every year with all the comedy stuff, and on the final year they went,
yeah,
we have given it to you when you didn't even deserve it, clearly, and didn't give it to other shows, and on the final year we won't give it to you. And instead they pull this, and congratulations to them, because I really like everyone who's involved in the show. I don't know that it's worthy of all of them, especially when you have the idea, I think Dan came out and said, he's like, well, now the internet's going to hate us, because it is. It's easy to hate something that's won everything, but damn the attention that was put on it. I had so many texts. Have you seen Schitt's Creek? And we know that, yes, there is the prestige, there is the honor of getting an award. It is also marketing. It is also getting people's attention. And out of 72 Emmys, Schitt's Creek was the one to get them all. I don't know about that. If you haven't seen Insecure, season 4 was fantastic. Curb has been great. But also watch Schitt's Creek. It's a good show.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that makes me feel bad is, like, yes, this is its final season, so I think it got a lot of love on its way out the door, but there's also a show like The Good Place, which was in its final season and ended its 4-year run with 0 Emmy wins. And the tough part about a show pulling off this kind of sweep is that it beat Dead to Me, it beat Insecure, it beat What We Do in Those Shadows, and none of those shows have ever won an Emmy, at least above the line Emmy. Insecure has one for editing. But, like, I think what happens is sometimes we get so attached to a single product that we want to vote across the board. And, like, of course, when you love a show, you love, like, every character on that show and you want to see them all do well. But, like, without having seen enough Schitt's Creek to really feel like I'm fairly judging, I haven't seen the final season. To give them all 4 acting awards, it does, like you said, lead to that kind of like reflexive pushback where it's like, well, what about the show that I loved? And it's exciting, and I do think it's really exciting for a show that's a Canadian show. To pull this off. Like, we've been talking about how Netflix and Amazon have come in and tried to be these like juggernauts in the awards season. How Mrs. Maisel comes in and wins this award almost every year, and this year it got beat by that little show from the CBC. I still think that is cool, even if it means that some other shows didn't get the love that they maybe should have, maybe could have. Obviously, this being Schitt's Creek's final year, maybe those shows will then get a chance to become the front runner next year. But I'm a fan of spreading the awards around and giving more people stuff. I wish Darcy Carden had won Emmy for her work as Janet on The Good Place, but she'll have my heart's Emmy, I guess.
That's the thing about it, and I really do like Schitt's Creek, but it does feel very... I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but The Good Place.
Maybe they had a really good awards campaign. Maybe they gave a lot of people steaks. Who knows?
Maybe, who knows? But one of the things that I really like about The Good Place, and I haven't finished the 4th season, so I can't speak on that, but the writers behind the show, dude. Like, these are people who on their own are funny people. They go viral on their own, okay? Mm-hmm. I think there's a difference between doing comedy and there's a difference between how you run a campaign, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
That's a show that I'm really surprised never won a writing Emmy, just because those scripts are so
yes.
good.
And it's not to take away from Schitt's Creek. I hope they all have long careers, like that they have new shows, whatever they're working on next as well. I don't need to know that from the people from The Good Place. Whatever they do 10 years from now, we're just gonna look back as like, oh, of course they did The Good Place and they came over here. They are doing great work. So yeah, it makes you wonder. It's like, how long is it gonna take them to be recognized? Definitely. We'll see.
But good for the Levy family.
Yeah.
Let's also talk about the other 2 big winners from the night, Succession and Watchmen. We've spent a lot of time extolling the virtues of those shows on this podcast. I think neither of us would argue against Watchmen's success this year. I certainly wouldn't argue against Succession's success. Art, does this say to you that HBO still has a lock on prestige TV?
Ben, HBO Max better not ruin it with their lineup. They have. Like we said, all of the network television always reigned in all of the Emmys, and then it switched out and all of the streaming services popped up, which some could argue are still in the same cahoots, but as they popped up, HBO has still remained there, I like, what did they get? They got, obviously, Best Actress.
Best Supporting Actor for Watchmen, Best Directing. They didn't win, they won Best Writing, though.
They won Best Directing because I really liked the speech. No. So they didn't win directing. Succession won. Yeah. I like the speech Succession gave for it. One of the things that I wanted to mention, supporting actor. We had 3 actors nominated from Watchmen, right? Louis Gossett Jr., Giovanna Depo, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen. Yahya Abdul-Mateen won. That was a Depo's, bro. I don't like. You've seen the show.
Yeah.
Bro. They say that. What's his name? Who hosted the Oscars and is not allowed to come back because he said, "Let's keep it a buck. You guys only award actresses who show their stuff."
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane.
My man put it all out there. I guess it's the same thing for men. He did a great performance, but half of his performance is not having emotion. Great. Yeah. I'm happy when I'm not going to complain. Adepo gave it his all. Mm-hmm. He deserved it for just that one episode. Yeah. Congratulations, Yahya. You had to show your jump.
I thought Yahya was great on that show. It's hard for me to pick, Like that's the problem when you kind of have to nominate 2 people from the same thing too. Sometimes it's like they're both great in different ways. But I'm glad a Watchmen person won that category. Also really glad for that Jeremy Strong won lead actor for his work in Succession. I think he's giving one of the most nuanced performances on TV, so that it was awarded that is really exciting. Billy Crudup won the Best Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, which was interesting. I know a lot of people say that his performance is one of the best things on the morning show.
Of the show.
Yeah, but I don't want to watch anymore. I watched 3 episodes and I'm out on morning show.
I know, and I still have to give it because people keep bothering me to
Yeah.
finish it. I was like, all right, I
Some
will.
people
But
say it got
in
better.
my time. Yeah, because
saw
it
it-
ended.
You saw a lot of people talking about how because he won and Yaya won, both of the Dr. Manhattans won Emmys.
Damn, that's fire. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
But I also kind of think Billy Crudup only won this category because the 3 Succession actors probably split the vote somehow. You know, like
Yeah, there's also the mathematics to it, you know?
yeah. That didn't happen for Watchmen, but maybe it happened
Yeah.
here. So yeah, really happy for Yaya. Really happy for Regina King. Regina King has had a crazy awards run recently. She won the Emmy in 2017 and 18 for her work on American Crime. She won the Oscar in 2019 for If Beale Street Could Talk. Now winning here for Watchmen, and she's got One Night in Miami coming up next year for the Oscars. Could be
directing. Let's
an
go,
epic
dude.
5-year run from
Massive.
Regina King.
Massive.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the limited series TV movie?
Yeah, please.
Bad Education 1.
Very exciting.
Yeah, you
Shout
had
out Courtney
mentioned
Finley.
you had mentioned if there was an Oscar for lead actor, who would I want it to go to? Well, streaming rules dictated that my boy couldn't win. I was rooting for Hugh Jackman.
Same.
Mark Ruffalo won, which I don't know if you've seen. I've only seen 3 episodes of I Know This Much Is True, and
I still haven't.
fantastic. I mean, Derek Sandfronts, I cannot complain. If there was one win that I was like, dang, I wanted it to go to someone else, but it went to Mark Ruffalo, I can't complain for Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to talk about this Mark Ruffalo performance 5 years from now? Because I think this is the best performance I've ever seen from Hugh Jackman, which is part of my heartbreak over him not winning.
Well, yeah, you know, I think he was the best performance of the year. I would even pick him over Delroy. Yeah. So to see that he's not even in contention, but was over here and he lost it is like. But Mark Ruffalo had 4 or 5 episodes to work with. I also don't see how that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. That's a little weird to me.
It's very weird when they dump limited series and TV movie in the same category.
I don't get it.
They're different things.
Have you seen Mrs. America?
I caught the first 2 episodes.
Okay. Because I think like one of the biggest ones, I know a lot of people were using the word upset, especially when, you know, we'll talk about with the Euphoria one. Mm-hmm. But I think what did it win? For supporting actress, again, also limited series movie for Uzo Aduba. I have not seen the show yet, so that was like one of the most exciting ones because I don't think any of the bets were going on her to win, but congratulations.
I've only seen, I think she only shows up in the 2nd episode, and like I said, I've only seen 2. But she's very good in that little bit that I've seen of her. And speaking less about her performance and more about the show in general, like that is a really well-acted show. They've got just great actors from the top down. Cate Blanchett is giving this unbelievable performance, but I wasn't surprised to see a Mrs. America actress win. That's something that I do want to catch up with the rest of. But
and 3 were nominated for supporting.
We should get to the night's other big headline, which came when Zendaya picked up the award for Outstanding Lead Actress on a Drama. At 24, that makes her the youngest ever winner in that category, and behind Viola Davis, only the 2nd black woman to win the Lead Actress on a Drama award. She beat out Jennifer Aniston, Olivia Colman, Jodie Comer, Laura Linney, and Sandra Oh for that award. Did the category go the way you hoped it would?
Shut up. Shut up. Did you see what, I think it was Vulture or Variety, one of them had said our girl won, and I've been really big on the idea that I hate corporations trying to talk like they're your friend, and I love the people who responded to it going, oh, I didn't know she worked for Variety. A lot of people, I know what also went trending was a lot of people saying upset win, people who did not know the definition of upset win.
Yeah, that New York Post headline caught some drama.
Yes, sir, but she more than rightfully deserved it. I think her trajectory has been just fantastic on being able to balance not just artistic projects, but also big budget television and television and movies with massive franchises.
Dune soon, hopefully.
She's on a trajectory. Maybe we see her at Oscars soon. We'll see.
Yeah. It's a great performance, and the kind of performance that you don't expect to be awarded necessarily in the first season.
That's crazy.
of the show. right? So that's what's also really exciting, is to see the Academy embracing her so quickly and being on board with that show, at least to that extent. It makes me think that Euphoria's second season is going to get a lot more awards, since one of the things we were talking about is that she's basically the only major nomination for the show so far. But that she won
That's
it.
a lot of attention.
Also
Yeah, that's a lot of attention for the show. That's true.
Yeah, and she's great on it. So, it's not just hype or just like trying to award the hot name right now. I think she's legitimately earned it. So it's exciting for her and exciting for Euphoria. I'm really happy about that one.
Didn't
Netflix,
Big Little Lies come out like 7 years ago?
It feels like it.
Do you think Julia Garner should have won, doubling it up this year? When you had Laura Dern, Meryl Streep. I've heard great things about Helena Bonham Carter in The Crown.
She's really good on Ozark.
I think she's great on Ozark.
Yeah.
You thought she was better than the Big Little Lies cast?
I mean, season 2 is so up and down. It's hard to say. Like, I love that Meryl Streep performance, but it's also like the kind of Meryl Streep performance that people make fun of Meryl Streep for, where she leans way too hard into a character sometimes.
But Zach, it was better than Sarah Snook in Succession?
Oh, well, that definitely not. I'm always for my girl Sarah Snook, but
yeah. All I had to say.
Yeah.
All I had to say.
Netflix only won 2 major awards all night. Do you think this is trouble for Netflix in their future in awards contention?
No, I'll tell you why. Because I'm looking at the outstanding drama series, and for whatever reason, Stranger Things is on there. They're fine.
Well, that's the thing. They've got Ozark, which only has 1 more season left. They've got Stranger Things, which I think we both agree is going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like Netflix needs a new contender. Like, maybe you want to count Schitt's Creek's Emmy success as a win for Netflix, but that's not their show.
It's not their show, but they're reaping the benefits right now.
Yeah.
Netflix does have a little bit of a, talking about the subscription service, they're really big on not having ads on their stuff. They've spent billions and billions to get this prestige and to get the attention. I don't economically understand how their model works, and as a lot of people have said, unless they decide to make changes that they will never make, how are you going to survive without having ads? How are you going to survive with all this spending that you're doing? I really hope you don't get Movie Passed. I really hope they don't get Movie Passed, because now they're dealing with even bigger juggernauts.
For more on that, you should listen to the Land of the Giants podcast.
Fantastic.
Yeah. All right, and the major networks took home 0 awards at this year's Emmys. Also worth noting. I mean, it's a sign of the times, right? That's not where the best TV lives anymore. Well,
like I said, Disney Plus is a major network. It's just streaming. Right. FX is on Hulu. That's Fox. They're all just, turning into other things. Congratulations, Zach, to Quibi for winning its first award. Just outstanding from everybody.
The newly
even
for
that
sale
got dragged.
Quibi picks up an Emmy.
Fantastic.
You want to lend me $20? We'll buy Quibi.
My joke was in the video that we were making the LME, I was like, hey, they just won an Emmy. If they pawn it, they'll finally make a profit this year. Like, no, it's a joke. One thing I also want to mention, Jimmy Kimmel, thank the Lord we have him, because I honestly don't know who else would be hosting these things. I'm so happy that we have a Jimmy Kimmel to just always rely on, Yeah. And I really appreciate his jokes about giving other people opportunities, while he continues to take the opportunity to make the worst damn jokes in something that was pre-recorded, dude.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for white dudes named Jimmy who would host our late night shows,
Bless their souls.
But that's about it for our Emmys wrap up. I don't know if you had any other notes you wanted to mention. I was happy that Trent Reznor won an Emmy, so he's now 3 letters of the way to the EGOT. He just needs that Tony Award.
Really?
Just a Tony. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. Okay. That's interesting. Damn, who would have ever thought that back in the day,
Right?
Who would have ever thought that back in the day? Wow. Yeah. That's dope. That's cool.
And beating Johnny Greenwood to that EGOT that I thought he would get, so interesting.
I guess I'll just say I'm looking forward to Showtime. I had no idea. I thought they killed it. One of the things that I've always enjoyed with the Oscars, but more so with the Emmys, is that their commercials technically become the Super Bowl of, here is FX. This is what we got to give you, right? And everyone had their stuff, FX, Disney Plus, great trailers here and there. They do those little compilation ones. I thought Showtime's killed it. They knocked it out of the park. Yeah. That new Bryan Cranston show looks fantastic. Then they followed it up with another trailer where the ending was Showtime, made by Lena Waithe, other creator. I was like, oh my goodness. Hey, they're not HBO, but they have remained there, okay? Yeah. Just like Pepsi hasn't gone away, Showtime's like, yo, we're just waiting for that one moment to break through. I'm really looking forward. I had Showtime for a whole year. Now I got to get it and actually watch some stuff on there. They have some good stuff, though.
Showtime's had some surprisingly good stuff on it. I've heard really good things about, I think it's called P-Vita or P-Valley, something like that.
I've heard about that. I've seen a couple episodes of Black Monday, which I thought were fantastic. And honestly, they have a bunch of series and a lot of stuff that has been there, that's wrapped up, and a bunch of good stuff that's coming up. So, I didn't know I would be getting Showtime by the end of the night.
Cool. So, actually, I didn't get to watch the awards. I was driving up here. What did you think of the actual ceremony?
Boring.
Yeah.
It is the
more than usual or less than usual?
It was the lowest rated Emmys. Like, I don't think anybody watched this stuff. On top of it, they did that annoying thing where you have an award ceremony awarding people for their best performances, and then they have the dumbest skits. And the worst part is that it says that it's live, and it wasn't even live. Like, there was a lot of people who came out to present, and then they would go back, and they were automatically, like, in the room. So it's like, if you're in your room, are you doing that thing where you're pretending to have choppy internet? I don't know. It was kind of weird. There was a lot of jokes that they tried to make where you would think it would be delivered better. One of the opening things, I don't know if you know this, Jimmy Kimmel for 5 minutes straight was in front of an audience. And then he points at himself and he's like, wait, that's me. I don't know if you heard about that one.
Yeah, I saw that clip.
Yeah. Cute, I guess. Didn't really matter. But no, overall, I didn't think it was the best possible broadcast that it could be. I thought it was very choppy. And I know you were saying that one of the best parts of the Emmys wasn't even a part of the Emmys broadcast.
Right. The best clip of the night was Rami on Twitter showing what happens when you lose the Emmy and that hazmat suit intern walking away.
Yeah, but
wish they'd shown that on the broadcast, but
they should have. That would have been a lot better. But they pegged it as the Pandemies, and they had a lot of people coming out to do skits. That when you don't have an audience, it's kind of rough. And on top of that, winning the Emmy and having that reaction from the camera, having the time to go up, having the time to actually give your speech is completely cut when you have the Zoom call. But so again, some of the best ones were when they were literally just like not knowing what to do. They don't know when the camera's going to cut, and they just went to go kiss their mama because they just won a damn Emmy from home.
Yeah, those were the funniest little bits that I saw when Jeremy Strong would suddenly kiss his wife because they're kind of just reacting in the moment and
And some of the ones were awkward too. Mark Ruffalo won, and his wife was like, "Yes, yes, Liberty." I was like, "Support you, man." I guess,
Definitely a different looking Emmys than we're used to. But
Succession, they were up at 4 o'clock in the morning because they were in the UK. I thought that was also an interesting one. Yeah, they were just waiting there every time they got nominated because it was the same. It was the writer, the director, and then the producers all right there in the same room, and they're like, "It is 4 o'clock in the morning over here. Take your time with your jokes, Jimmy."
Great. Well, that's about it for our topic of the week. Let us know which Emmys winners you were happy to see, maybe which people you thought should have won Emmys. Again, let us know by commenting down below on YouTube or hitting us up on social media at IntercutPod. We're going to get into our final segment, the New to See, where we give you our picks for the week. Art, what are you recommending the people check out?
If you got HBO, obviously Succession, it was one of the biggest ones to win. I would say definitely go check that out. If you got Netflix, you got Schitt's Creek right there if you want to go check that out. If you have Hulu, I would say watch Mrs. America. That's the one that won. I mean, you have all of these Emmy things to catch right now that everything is open. I'm going to double check another one that I have here, but which ones do you have?
Well, I got a couple things. The Nest, a movie we saw way back when at Sundance, is out in some limited theaters. Penny's mad about something.
Penny likes it.
The Nest. Penny liked it a lot. She wanted to say. It's the latest movie from Sean Durkin, who did Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene almost 10 years ago, which I think is a great movie. I love that the way that movie plays on paranoia and this idea of like not knowing what's out there. The Nest has a similar sense of foreboding, and there's like these cold, icy stares that say a lot. It's about this marriage that is being tried and kind of like crumbling apart after this family moves from America to the UK. Jude Law is really great in it. Carrie Coon is amazing in it. It's
Carrie
got
Coon's
really fantastic costuming and scenery. I would definitely recommend if you're a fan of the kind of work that Sean Durkin does, or these really these intimate dramas that are about like interpersonal dynamics and like the changing roles in a family. This movie captures a lot of that very well. Or if you're like my girlfriend and you just have a lot of nostalgia for like 80s British pop, this movie has a really killer soundtrack. So those are good things. And then it'll be available on demand in November. So I'll bring that up again when we get closer to that date. But if you're in one of the cities that has theaters open and you are okay doing that, it might be around you, The Nest. And then I'll also recommend the New York Film Festival, which will be going on for another couple weeks. And a lot of the movies that I mentioned are available to rent through their virtual theaters. So unlike in years past when I talked about New York Film Festival and you had to be there to actually participate, now you can do it from the comfort of your home. The movie that I mentioned that I liked a lot earlier, The Night of the Kings, is available to rent on demand, I think through September 29th. Lovers Rock is going to be available, as I mentioned. Monopoly of Violence might still be available. So, yeah, Nomadland, which a lot of people are saying is the best movie of the year so far, I'm going to check out later tonight. So, yeah, look on the Film at Lincoln Center website and maybe check out a couple New York Film Festival screenings. Definitely would recommend that. And my quick podcast corner is Dolly Parton's America. I don't know if you've heard about this one. It's a really interesting podcast from the people at Radio Lab talking about Dolly Parton and how she is this rare unifying figure. You know, you think about today how polarized a lot of people are, how there's a big divide between political left and political right, and Dolly Parton is this weird person who kind of bridges that gap in this country, in this role of country star who's beloved in Heartland America and has her own amusement park in Tennessee.
Theme park, bro. What you know about theme parks, bro?
Meanwhile, she's also this like beloved figure for the LGBT community, and recently came out in strong support of Black Lives Matter. And you know, she's somebody who's loved by lots of people, young and old. And this podcast attempts to decipher why that is, why she's been able to strike this fine line, how much of that is about her story and how much of that is about how she handles herself. It's just really well done in the way that it takes this pop figure and expands it into the worlds of politics and race and the way that the country has changed. I think it's a remarkable series. I think it's only 9 episodes long. It ended at the end of last year, but I knocked that out in a road trip and thought it was just excellent. So nice. Dolly Parton's America, if you're looking for a good story-driven podcast, I'd highly recommend that one.
Kindred. Don't watch Antebellum. Go read Kindred. I just finished the graphic novel version of Kindred. Not as detailed, but way more detailed than whatever the hell Antebellum was. Go watch Kindred. Or read Kindred. That would be an adaptation that should be guarded completely. You need to have a specific set of nuance to do that one, but it's a nice little it's a sci-fi tale about this woman who ends up going back in time, and she doesn't know what's causing it, but she goes back in time to slave times, but she keeps jumping back and forth, and it is absolutely fantastic, and it hits everything that Antebellum tried. So
very cool. All right, so that's all for this week's show. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me on LME Explain over at HQ Letterboxd. You can find me over at The Moments on Twitter or on YouTube, just every month or so, something like that, or every week here at the Intercut Podcast.
Yeah, you can listen to every episode of the Intercut Podcast on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on your favorite podcatcher. I like Overcast, and then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio feed, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intercutpod, where you can catch our bright, smiling faces as we break down the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of the podcast every Friday. Please leave us a comment, like the video, and consider heading over to iTunes to give us that elusive 5-star review. Shout out to our listeners in France and Spain who put us on the TV and film podcast charts out there recently. Like our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. All of them are at IntercutPod to get updates throughout the week from Art, from me, from all the guests that we feature on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, remember to save your twist ending for last.
Damn.